Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Season 1, Episode 13 of the Moderately Athletic Podcast. Last week's episode was 12, but I said 11, and now we're back on track. I am your host, Sam Wantuck, and like every week, I am joined by Ethan Decker and Tyler Nautical. Ethan, I want to check in with you quick because you promised last week that you'd come up with your favorite TV catchphrase, and I'm guessing you probably didn't, but I'm going to put you on the spot because if you didn't, you're a liar.
Just because we've been watching Community lately, and that's the most watched show we've been watching lately. I'm just going to say, cool.
Not Pop
That's
Pop?
fair.
Oh, Pop's a good one, too.
Pop!
Pop
Okay.
Pop.
I'll allow it's a good one, too. But
I'll allow it. Yeah, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones for sure from that show alone, but I'm glad that you did come up with one, and so that's great. Tyler, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good, actually. Bummed that the Packers lost to the Giants. We'll touch on that a little later, or a little bit more later, but fantasy team 5-0. It's lonely on top deck. That's all I gotta say. The only undefeated team in our league, so pretty happy about that. Made some trades too. Like it seems like finally trades are happening, and I seem to be one of the two participants in most of them. But I had pieces to move. I had pieces to gain. So yeah, pretty excited about it.
I will say, the loss I had this week, my opponent put up 170 points. I'm not even mad. Bravo to, if Joey Rank's listening to this, bravo. A fantastic week.
Yeah, and some of us are very happy and content with 3-2.
Yeah.
Moving on, though, we have our week 5 reactions. We're gonna talk about the games that happened. I mean, a lot of, outside of like scores, there was a lot of really interesting things that happened this week that we'll touch on as we get to those games. But let's start with our London game that happened. It was the Giants versus the Packers, as Tyler briefly touched on, a disappointing loss. I had said in the introduction last week that this could be a deceptively close game, and it was actually more than that. The Giants put up 17 unanswered points in a win, and Tyler, you can start us off. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's like obviously it sucks to lose to the Giants, but it's partially because it's the Giants. But on one hand, you got to start thinking, okay, they're 4-1. They've kind of got to be 4-1 for a reason. It's rare that it hasn't happened before, yes, but it's rare that bad teams start off seasons this well. Or should I say, like, absolutely horrendous teams like we thought the Giants were going to be this year. So, they obviously are exceeding expectations right now. And I think all that falls to Dable. Dable is coaching his ass off, and he coached a phenomenal second half against the Packers. And with that second half, it's like this has been the Packers' season. It's tales of two halves, it feels like. They have either their first half is amazing and their second half, that's where teams kind of creep up and either or that's where they make it closer, win the game, which we saw this week, or they have a bad first half and then pull away in the second. They haven't played a complete game yet this year. And I said last week that when we start as the year goes on, we'll see the Packers kind of pull away from bad teams. That could have happened if they played the second half like they played their first half. But they didn't. They haven't put together a full game, and until they do that, we can't beat these average to below average teams like we thought the Giants were going to be. But like I said, props to the Giants. It's hard to coach a successful offense with Daniel Jones, but he looked phenomenal in that second half, just absolutely shredding apart a very good Packers defense still, and this Giants offense obviously looked a hell of a lot better than we thought they were going to be. And it just goes to show, 1 week this Packers offense might look efficient, and then the next, it comes back to lack of receiving help, and It's just not there, and we need to do something about it ASAP. Otherwise, we can kiss the playoffs goodbye if we're losing to teams like the Giants. So, am I worried about the Packers? Not really. We go up against the Jets next week. We'll talk about that in the next episode. But Packers rarely lose 2 in a row. Could I see it happening? Yes, but I think that they have a bounce back game. And the Giants from here on, they're just building on what's supposed to be a down year. This is like the Bengals of last year. They had very low expectations and are greatly exceeding them. I don't think the Giants are going to make the Super Bowl, but they're doing far beyond what I thought they were capable of, at least. So.
Yeah, it's definitely very surprising to have a Giants team that is 4-1. I think a big part of that you didn't really touch on when you were talking about them is definitely the fact that they have their very good run game back with Saquon. It's something that they've been lacking the past 3 seasons. So it's very nice for them to have that back. It's definitely helping them win games.
Let me just say, if Saquon isn't like at least an offensive player of the year candidate, maybe even MVP candidate by the end of the year, if he's playing like this, it's rigged. Okay, this Giants team is on Saquon's back. Now, this game, not so much. Daniel Jones played a really good game, but the past 4 weeks, it's been all Saquon. So I think yes, he's back. Yes, we got to start giving him. He's the elite praise that he should be getting.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I agree 100%, but I definitely do think that for the MVP, it's probably going to be like a Josh Allen or something.
Well, yeah, obviously it's going to go to a quarterback, right? But it's who is most valuable to the team, and that's how I look at it. And could the Giants win the games that they have won without Saquon Barkley? Hell no. So.
Nope. Yeah, Decker, anything to add to this?
Yeah. No, I love what I'm seeing from the Giants right now. 4-1, nobody would have guessed. And the fact is, they're probably going to be a playoff team because when I look at their schedule, they're 4-1 right now. They have games coming up for the rest of the year against a Jacksonville team they could beat, Seattle they could beat, Houston they should beat, Detroit. They get 2 against Washington, Indy. All those games I could see Giants winning. And like we said, Saquon is carrying this team, offensive player of the year favorite, or should be. And Daniel Jones, while he's not a great quarterback by all means, he's doing enough.
Yeah.
He made a lot of good third down throws on Sunday's game to extend some drives, impressive throws I didn't really think he had in him. And the defense isn't phenomenal, but it's doing enough right now. And you can see what Wink Martindale, their new defense coordinator, is paying dividends. They're blitzing when they need to be blitzing, getting their defensive linemen getting their hands in the air, like those last 2 throws by Rodgers to end the game, getting tipped. So I love what I'm seeing from the Giants. Dable, coach of the year favorite. For the Packers, it's that run defense is still very concerning to see how they've been performing, and offensive wise, it's just Rodgers looks so off to me. I can't think of the last time. I'm trying to actually think, when did he last connect on a 30-yard, 40-yard deep ball? It seems like he's just missing so many of those this year.
He did miss a few long passes this game, whether it was miscommunication, a bad throw, or just the receiver just got interfered with. The Packers before this week were tied for second most explosive plays in the league, whether that be passing or rushing. So they are hitting big plays on offense. We just didn't see him this game, and that's part of the reason why they lost. Big reason why they lost. So it's not that it's not happening, Decker. I just think that it didn't happen this game, and it was very prevalent, especially because it looked like Dubs was open quite a bit, and Rodgers just missed him plain out.
Yeah. So, for the Packers' hope, it would be, as we've been talking about, blowing out opponents. this upcoming week against the Jets would be a hopeful one for them. So we'll see where that goes.
I mean, Jets are.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more. Jets just put up 40 against a pretty good Dolphins D. So, and one last thing, I'll talk just a little bit more because it's the Packers and they're my team. Matt LaFleur, what is going on, man? Like, our rushing efficiency is amazing, yet we don't run it on 3rd and short when we know we have an extra 4th down, when we know we're going to go for it on 4th down. Like, I don't get that, It's so attainable. The Packers didn't have a run for 2 yards or less the whole game. Like, it was all, so, like, the thought, if that, obviously that's not a stat that you know during the game, but we could have gotten at least 2 yards, which made it a 4th and 1 at our own goal line. And then, of course, Wink Martindale is going to blitz the hell out of us because that's what he does. Like, even I knew a blitz was coming on 3rd and 4th down, and I'm just a casual watcher of football, and I know Wink Martindale is going to send that. So, the scheme or the calls just did not make any sense to me, whether that's coming from LaFleur or Rodgers audibling out of the play and just basically picking an RPO that he likes. You never know, but whatever the play calling is, it needs to be changed immediately. We have to get the ball in the hands of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon more often. They should both be over 10 carries each easily every week, and A.J. Dillon only got 6, averaged 5.7 yards
right now.
Averaged 5.7 yards per carry. We got to feed them the ball. That needs to be our offense.
Yeah, no, I agree because you're running the ball against the Bears, which is a game you won obviously, and that went really well. But yeah, to jump back to the to the NFC East, I just remembered that a week and a half ago you had floated the idea to me that the NFC East might be the best division this year, and I remember I laughed at you because I was like, look, sure, Eagles 4-0 at the time, yeah, they're good. Cowboys have been on a weird streak with Cooper Rush, and the Giants suck. I don't know why they're 3-1, but now they're 4-1, and the Cowboys are 4-1, and the Eagles are 5-0. And I'll tell you right now, this just might be it. With of course the ugly cousin of the Commanders, kind of just back there. But
Giants.
It's certainly
the Giants this year are just going to be the Panthers of last year, just 2 weeks in the future, or 2 weeks past what the Panthers made it. I'm afraid. They've made steps, in the right direction, but I'm afraid a downfall is going to be coming for them, and if it doesn't, good for them. I definitely don't expect that, but I could see a big downfall coming for the Giants relatively soon.
Yeah, well, guess we'll have to see.
You guys have to admit, out of the teams with winning records, they have to be the most pretender not.
Well, no shit, yeah.
So
okay, maybe behind the Jets, who are 3-2, but yeah, for being 4-1.
Jets defense, I would take any day over the Giants defense. That's for sure. And
yeah, but also take the Giants' run game and offense over the Jets' offense.
I mean, Breece Hall is just getting more and more work. I think. Well, we're getting too deep into this, but I don't get your hopes up on the Giants, which I'm afraid a lot of New Yorkers might be doing. But
yeah, well, it's tough. They haven't had a lot of things to look forward to recently.
They just want to celebrate.
So
man.
I definitely get that. But then there is a team that has something to look forward to, but really isn't panning out quite yet. That would be the Steelers. Steelers fans are really happy to see Kenny Pickett finally playing. And then in his first career start, they get absolutely blown out, 38-3.
3?
Yeah,
3.
38-3, yeah. That is about the worst score you could possibly have. So maybe the future is exciting. It's not quite bright yet. Decker, what are you thinking about the Bills and the Kenny Pickett Steelers?
I mean, the Bills, they are just so dominant right now. I love watching the Bills. Biased you because Allen's on my fantasy team. Gabe Davis for you, Sam. We had so much fun watching that on Sunday.
Oh my God.
Just the 98 yard bomb to Davis, and then the 62-yard bomb with Davis made like the one-handed catch while Minka Fitzpatrick was on him. It was just so fun to watch. They're just such a fun team to watch, and
That was great.
if they keep playing like this, I just don't know who can stop them. So, and I've got a lot to say about the Bills just because they're so good. There's not many weaknesses and flaws we can really point out besides maybe a little bit better in the run game, which we've talked about all year, and secondary when they play elite offenses like this week they will against Kansas City. But for the Steelers, it's just tough. I mean, they're just like I said. I think by their bye week they'll be 1-7. They'll lose this week to Tampa, lose to Miami, lose to Philly, and they'll be 1-7. And a lot of it's going to go. Kenny Pickett. This will probably be one of the roughest stretches of his career, and these are just his first couple starts. On Sunday, I did like some of the throws he was making. Like, it was 17-mile-an-hour winds there in Buffalo, and there were some good throws he made to Pickens and Deontay. So I mean, it's so tough to judge because of these matchups he's going to be playing, but I think there is a lot of bright spots for Kenny Pickett. It's just a shame to see Najee not be able to get anything on the ground. Like, that old line just is not creating nothing for him. Like, I know it's on Sunday. Najee will get the ball. He'll make one stiff arm. And, if he had a couple holes there, it'd be like, man, he could really take off. But that old line just creates nothing for him. And it's just a rough year for him. So, and defensive-wise, it seems like the Steelers can't stop a nosebleed right now. And, TJ Watt being out seems like just no pressure. So, Steelers are doomed. Bills are, topped in the NFL. So,
Yeah, no, because the Bills are, by every means, a very strong team. I definitely don't think that we can look at this blowout against the Steelers and say, oh yeah, this team is cannot be stopped, because we've seen them be stopped.
Yeah, we'll need to see it in a game like this Sunday, against Kansas City.
Oh, yes, I agree for sure. Because I definitely think that they got the best possible matchup to really show off dominance, because they're going up against the Steelers, which are struggling a lot with a QB doing his first start. So I don't think the 38-3 is a true testament to their power, but for sure it's definitely a very good sign, because you mentioned the run game, and they've been in trade talks with the Panthers of getting Christian McCaffrey.
That would be unreal.
Which, oh my God, if you put Christian McCaffrey on that team, that would be insane.
If
probably not good for CMC's fantasy value, but
if you can guarantee
Bills
if you can guarantee that McCaffrey would stay healthy, my God, that would be unreal.
God, that would be truly something. Tyler, do you have anything to add to the Bills and Steelers?
Not really. Bills, good. Steelers, not. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not much else to say there, to be
not
honest.
really.
Yeah. And then moving on, we have the Chargers versus the Browns. This was a game that I think we'd all kind of agreed would be hotly contested. Would be Browns on the ground and Herbert doing his best. And, I mean, we were certainly right about both of those things. Chubb ran all over the Chargers for the most part. And, crap, I didn't write down who won this game. The Browns won this game,
Chargers
right?
did by 2.
Oh yeah.
Browns
okay.
should have won, but Chargers.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So the Chargers squeaked out a win here, but yeah, Tyler, what are you thinking about the Browns and the Chargers?
Nick Chubb somehow, if you're a casual fan and you look at the stat lines between the two running backs in this game on either team, you're going to think that Austin Eckler is the much better running back. Austin Eckler averaged 10.8 yards per carry this game. This is a career high for Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler, before this game, had only rushed over 100 yards twice in his career. Now, on the flip side, Nick Chubb rushed for 7.9 yards per carry. Both of these yards per carries are absolutely insane. Mind-boggling high. It's just amazing. Nowhere.
For a lead back, yeah.
Nick Chubb is like I have Austin Eckler on my bench or on my fantasy team, not my bench. He started, and I will tell you right now, Nick Chubb is far and away the much better running back. But Austin Eckler just adds so much more in the pass game. That's why he's so much more valuable in fantasy. But Nick Chubb is getting the touchdowns this year that Kareem Hunt was getting last year. So that kind of balanced them out. Nick Chubb on the year, I think, has 7 rushing touchdowns. Does that sound right to you guys? I think so.
Yeah,
he's on a great stretch
That's
right now.
He's had
insane.
multiple touchdown
Like,
games.
We've all been saying it, and this game was just so perfect because they were going up against each other, that the Chargers and Browns both have horrible run defenses. And, obviously, Jacoby Brissett played, mediocre. Threw a pick, 6.8 yards per attempt. Nothing amazing. But Justin Herbert, 6.7 yards per attempt. 1 touchdown. They basically had identical stat lines. And you expect so much more. Holy crap. Yeah, they almost had identical stat lines. Justin Herbert, 22 for 34. Jacoby Brissett, 21 for 34. Justin Herbert, 228 yards. Jacoby Brissett, 230 yards. It's just Justin Herbert didn't throw a pick. And they both had long plays of 38 yards. That's insane. But Justin Herbert, obviously, clearing away the better quarterback. It's just who is catching the ball for these guys. And Mike Williams, he can do everything he can. And, Austin Eckler can do everything he can out of the backfield. But I believe, Keenan Allen wasn't back this week like we thought he was going to be. Or at least I thought he was going to be. And they just have such a lack of wide receivers, man. It's tough. Because you want Justin Herbert to be putting up monster games. At least I would like to see it. I know Sam would like to see it. But, this really just goes to show that the narrative that neither of these teams have good run defenses is just so true. And, what a boneheaded decision by Staley, man. What is he doing? What is he doing? Like, why in the hell
He's got cojones.
Why in the hell would you not punt that ball? That's not analytics. That is not. There's no analytic in the world that says going for 4th and 2 on your own 40. What was it? 43? No, I can't remember what it was.
Around 45.
45?
Around the 40s, yeah.
There's no analytic that tells you that is a good idea. Like, it's just not. And if they lost this game, it would have been Matt Rule Monday, Staley the following Monday, if another thing like that happened.
Really? You think so?
You cannot be making those kinds of decisions as a head coach. Like, if he lost this game because of that decision, like, you can just imagine the kind of response that would get. Like, the Staley experiment would be over, in my opinion. And he is this close to being on the hot seat. I think he already is, on the, medium, not really lukewarm, but not really, boiling hot seat. Like, he's feeling a little pressure.
Yeah.
Which he should be. And I just don't like him. I think it was a horrible mistake. Put Justin Tucker on this Browns team, and Browns would have won. But obviously Justin Tucker. Put anyone like a top half kicker in the league, and I'm afraid that the Chargers will lose this game. So
Cade York is top half.
I mean he's a rookie, so you can't expect a rookie to hit that consistently in a live game. But
yeah, that's fair.
Just a boneheaded decision by Staley to me. Not sure what was going into it. It just doesn't feel like analytics would have set to go for it there.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'd love to hear his source on that one. Moving on, though, this can probably be a quick one because this was the biggest news fest of the week, and we had a Thursday night football game. This was the Texans versus the Jaguars. This ended in 12-6, 12-9. Texans win.
13-6.
13-6, yeah.
13-6. Yeah, okay, my bad. Oh, yeah, because it was a touchdown. Both of these offenses looked bad outside of Dameon Pierce. Jaguars' offense was incredibly disappointing. I guess I'll prompt you guys with this question. Do we think that this is more of a Texans defense being good or a Jaguars offense just choking? Whoever wants to start can start.
I think I'll definitely take the blame for this. I hopped on that Jaguars slash Trevor Lawrence top 10 QB in the league bandwagon way too soon. You know, he looked really good the first couple games, and then just boom, past two, just something's up. Like, it just they could not get anything going, and if like, I'll just leave it at that. I thought that the Jaguars would, blow the doors off the Texans, and obviously that did not come anywhere near to happening. And if the Jaguars won this game convincingly, or even won it, like, I think, well, even I still think that Doug Peterson would be coach of the year potential, if not like one of the favorites. But like, you can't be losing these kinds of games, man. Like, it.
Yeah.
It's a little disheartening as a person who wants to see the Jags be successful and wants wants Trevor Lawrence to be good. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, Texans, well done, obviously. Dameon Pierce was a monster on the ground. So that's 2 games in a row that this Jaguars defense has given up a lot of yards to running back. So they have some stuff to fix, and I know they can do it. They got a good head coach, and they got the skill to do it, but we'll have to see if they can execute.
Yeah, Dak, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
It's definitely concerning, man. I was so in on the Jags offense 2 weeks ago too, but you see the last 2 weeks, and Trevor Lawrence has been, below average, and James Robinson's been shut down. Christian Kirk's been shut down. Pretty much everybody. The only guy that really had a good game on offense was ETN. Had some big run, had like maybe 2 or 3 big runs, or maybe it was just one that he broke. But I think he had. Let me see here. It was 10 for 71 and on the ground, and 3 for 43 in the air. So ETN was probably like the lone bright spot in this offense this past week. But yeah, I want to see the Jags definitely try and clean it up. Like Tyler said, I think they can, because Doug Peterson's good. He's a Super Bowl winning coach, so he knows what it takes to be able to turn an offense around and develop some schemes to get the best out of his players. But defensive wise too, it hasn't been great in the ground, like Tyler said too. And but I mean, props to the Texans. I mean, they definitely have their running back of the future. Dameon Pierce is looking very, very good. It's just a matter of the pieces around still. Questions about Davis Mills and such. So yeah, overall to answer your question, yeah, Jack, not so much Texans defense, but Jags offense just choking and not playing well.
Yeah, I would agree. Just Jaguars need to fix the formula here, because it's clearly combusting. Moving on, we have the Bears versus the Vikings, and Decker, I'm going to prompt you with a question. Do we ever think that the Vikings will just win a game by more than 14 points? We don't have to hold our breath in the fourth quarter and pray that a win happens. Will that ever happen? Give me hope, please, or don't.
Oh, if there was any week to do it, it would have been this week. Could I see it maybe happening down the end of the season when we're 15 games into it gelled? Maybe. Right now, though, I mean, 4-1's 4-1. Wins a win. I don't care how we get there. Yeah, it sucks that we were up 21-3. Bears got 18 unanswered. Or no, what was it? Yeah, 18 unanswered.
Yeah, something like that.
They made it 22-21.
Gave
up too much to the Bears. Yeah, let Fields do way too much in the air. But offensive wise, those first 3 drives just perfect. I mean, that's the one I love to see. Gave JJ the ball no matter what. Added Dalvin in there on the ground. He finally got it going. 2 touchdowns. A little mixture of Thielen in there too. Offensive line is looking phenomenal, man. I mean, I saw the stat yesterday, and it was Bradbury, Cleveland, and Darisaw all gave up 0 pressures, and offensive line is looking fantastic. Brian O'Neill's had a rough 2 weeks, but Ed Ingram's a monster in the run game at right guard. Bradbury, Jesus, color me surprised. He's actually playing like the first rounder we drafted him to be. And maybe all it took was just a little bit of faith from the coaching staff and not bringing in much competition for him because he's really awakened. And Darisaw is currently the number 3 tackle PFF-wise. He's on a Pro Bowl level right now. So offensive line's looking fantastic to me. Kirk is, 3 straight game-winning drives for Kirk. I can't complain. He's doing enough. Sure, there's times where the offense has stalled out these past 3 games. But when it gets to the last drive of the game, he's doing enough. He's taking us down there and we're scoring. Defensive-wise, I do have a lot of concerns, but, I'm hoping Daniil and Za'Darius wake up and really start doing what they can do. Linebacker-wise has been a little underperforming, but, Cam Dantzler, he's had a great 2-week stretch here, and sure, on that last play, he got a missed tackle, but he came back and stripped that ball on our former receiver, Smith Marset. So, final answer is, man, 4-1. Is 4-1. I don't care. We're there, and it's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like divisional matchups, and I've said this for every divisional matchup. They're usually closer than people think they might be, just because the teams are more familiar with each other. That's what I'll say that helped me sleep at night when I think about how close this game was. Plus, you look at our history, and as a team, we're just not the best against mobile quarterbacks, and obviously Fields is 95% legs. So I can see why it was close. I still don't think it should have been, but I can see why that happened. And yeah, again, I'm just happy that it's 4-1. Tyler, anything brief to add?
No, you guys touched on it. I just think it's got to be mentioned that Justin Fields has the lowest passing yards through 5 games since 1971. That is for 2020. That is absolutely pathetic. That is just so embarrassing as a franchise. And when you're supposed to have this, franchise center quarterback that's here for the future, and then you don't support him. You bring in a defensive-minded head coach, and you feed him to the wolves, basically. This is what's going to happen. He doesn't develop past his college days where his first read was pretty much always open because it was, Garrett Wilson, it was Chris Olave, and it was Jackson Smith-Njigba, basically always open. He's not going to progress past that if you don't give him a good offensive line and or good to decent receivers. It's, you have to feel bad for the guy on one part, but he's also making poor decisions. Okay, so a lot of the blame has to go on the Bears franchise itself, but you can't just give it all to him. Justin Fields could be playing a lot better under circumstances. So you hate to blame the guy, but he's just not developing like you would like to, even with lack of resources around him. So it's just pathetic that just the amount of passing yards that they have. It's so pathetic. And as a Packer fan, it's quite hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's a mind-boggling stat. I mean, 1971. I wasn't even alive in 1971.
To sum it up,
that's crazy.
To sum it up too about the Bears offense, it's a very 1960s type of offense. So much running and just so little passing. It's just such an old school offense that
it's because Fields is a liability. He's a liability right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'd argue that Mike Lennon would be better in that system.
Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, yeah. Gardner Minshew, sexiest player in the NFL. He'd be pretty good in that situation too. But yeah, that's the Bears and Vikings. Moving on, we have the Lions versus the Patriots. Just to put in perspective, I had made my score prediction Lions 35-31.
Yeah, I had something like that
and
too.
We got nothing close to that.
I don't think.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Go figure. Bill Belichick knows how to plan a game against Jared Goff. We've seen this before in the past, like just absolutely like disassemble this Lions offense, like, and then, Bailey Zappi is doing like what Justin Fields should be doing, and that's just game managing and letting the run game take care of the offense, and unfortunately, Bailey Zappi is the much better game manager than Justin Fields is, and a lot of that has to do with coaching, of course. But Bailey Zappi has like coming out of college, he had very, very good decision making and going through his progressions, but obviously he didn't have a lot of highlight tape, not a lot of arm strength, so that's why he kind of fell. But for a third stringer to come and do this against any defense, it's impressive. Just to be the level of game manager that he is. I mean, he's got a 100 passer rating, so he's not a complete bum. But let me tell you, as a Ramondre Stevenson owner in fantasy, 25 carries, 161 yards. Oh, it's fantastic. Like, this is why I drafted him. Damian Harris now has a hammy injury. Like, it's perfect. This is what they're gonna do with Bailey Zappi, and or like even when if Hoyer's back, they're just gonna run the shit out of the running backs. Now, I don't think Stevenson's gonna get as many carries as this because Harris and Stevenson were the only two running backs activated for this game, so they'll probably have another backup come in. But this is perfect for Stevenson. But this Patriots offensive line and run game, they can win them these games, and we've seen it. Like, yes, the Lions defense is horrible, but to take the ball out of the Lions' hands as long as they did, and just run the shit out of the ball, also take the ball out of Bailey Zappi's hands, making him make plays, really. And so it's just really impressive to see how, Bill still got it, man. He's still a phenomenal coach. He just knows how to do it. And partially, I guess I should add this in, Dan Campbell is just not him, guys. I'm afraid. He's fantastic for a rebuild, but beyond that, he does not make good decisions. I'm sorry. They had 4 or 5 straight turnover on downs.
But Dan Campbell cries and press tours.
He's making me cry by the decisions he's making because, and it pains me to say this, he's just not a good head coach past, player relationship. It's just, he's just not, and it sucks to say that because I really do like him, but he got to make better decisions than going for it on 4th down 5 times in a row, and maybe on that 5th time you're like, maybe we should punt it this time. Nope, go for it. Failed again, and that's mostly the reason why the Patriots dominated this game.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. Decker, anything to add?
Yeah, Campbell just gets way too over aggressive. It's sad to see. It's sad to see for this Lions team right now because they can be. I mean, they have been fun to watch this year for the most part in some of these shootout games, and they're on the up and up. I really believe that they got the players, and they just need to get a little bit more on the defense, and that's the thing we're gonna continue to see from them this year. It's gonna be their offense just won't be able to put up enough that their defense is gonna allow, and that's gonna accumulate in a lot more losses. And I think this offense is, for the most part, just going to continue to keep going down. I mean, we never expected they're going to keep up the pace like they were their first 4 games, excluding the Patriots week. So, and then props to Bill. I mean, like you said, he just knows how to take advantage of mid to below average quarterbacks, and that's exactly what he did. He drew up a great plan for them, and Bailey Zappi did enough, made some key throws when he needed to as well, but then ground game doing what they did. So yeah, props to the Pats, man. They really, really dominated this one.
Yeah, it's all Pats, and that's all we got to say about it. Moving on, we have the Seahawks versus the Saints. I'm just gonna ask the question: what's the deal with Geno Smith? I thought we wrote him off, but he didn't write back.
Yeah.
That's my Jerry Seinfeld impression. Decker, start us off. What are you thinking about Geno Smith and the Seahawks or the Saints?
I love the Seahawks, man. They're so fun. I mean, they're not. I mean, sure, they're 2-3. They haven't gotten, they're not 5-0 or 4-1 or whatever. But man, Geno is just such a fun story. This guy just continues to keep proving us wrong in these games. Like you would never thought, at the beginning of the year, when you look at this matchup that they just had, Geno Smith against the Saints defense in that secondary, you would say, man, he would have got shut down and would have been lucky to get 150 passing yards. But he's out there throwing 50-yard bombs to Lockett and Metcalf, and it's just so fun, And it sucks to see Penny go down with a season-ending injury now, but I'm excited to see what Kenneth Walker can do as RB1 and see if he can really live up to what he was coming out of college. And for the Saints, it's still concerning what their defense is doing because it's just not getting better right now. And we keep saying week after week, man, maybe this can be the week that they can really turn things around and set the tempo, but they're just not doing nothing right now, and it's very concerning. Offensive wise, Andy Dalton's doing enough to get them that to keep them in these games. Almost won against the Vikings, did win this one, and a lot of it was granted Taysom Hill really had a breakout game with 4 total touchdowns in this one, but yeah, Saints I'm still concerned about. Seahawks, maybe they get a couple more wins. Obviously, more wins than we would have expected them this year. And I'm really excited to see if Geno can continue this because, man, it's so fun right now. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about the fact that I had the Seahawks being 2-15, and I don't think that they're going to lose like the rest of their games. So definitely great for Geno. Tyler, what do you think about the Seahawks or Saints?
Kind of like a really complicated and intriguing issue going on. It's a little like deep, but I've been seeing this like kind of trending on social media. It's like, Geno got written off after 2 bad seasons in New York, and then pretty much played as a backup, until his time here, and it's like during that time span, we saw like Brock Osweiler get a massive contract, and Nick Foles, and just other mediocre QBs, where Geno Smith, improved in his 2 years on the Jets, and I forget who it was, but it brings. Colin Cowherd also brought. Lamar Jackson is the only QB in the league what feels like that can't lose ugly. It's always like, oh, Lamar, the Ravens won by 2 points. And yet Lamar still catches flack after the game. So systemically in the NFL, even kind of like looking at it now and just like, I agree, like there's a like stigma with black quarterbacks in the league. They just get written off and just don't get as many passes as white quarterbacks. And kind of looking back, if you look at it like with just not just Geno Smith and Mahomes and Jackson, it's like it's odd to see that they don't get as many chances as a lot of very mediocre like white quarterbacks. And I just thought that was so interesting to think about because, it's true. Geno Smith is coming out here and playing in a Pro Bowl level after he's been written off for multiple years. And Lamar, like I just said, Lamar Jackson probably catches the most heat anyone can catch in the NFL for a QB at least, for no reason. These guys are playing phenomenal football right now, yet they're still catching heat, and it just doesn't really make sense to me. So I just think that's really something that people need to kind of not only like look into, but just address, like, why is this happening? And like I don't have like a lot of like football insight to this game, but I am just so happy that Geno Smith can come out here and play the way that he is playing, and he's making some really good throws, guys. Like, really impressive throws. He threw 16 completed passes and had 270 yards. That's insane. Like, good for Geno, man. I'm really, really happy. I'm not really concerned. Going back to the team, I'm not really concerned about Rashad Penny going out. I think Kenneth Walker is really skilled running back. I mean, they drafted him for a reason. And the Saints offense is still, I hate Taysom Hill, man. Just stop. This happens every year. Two weeks he pops off, then he just does nothing the rest. So, this just happened to be one of those weeks. But it looked like Alvin Kamara was back, averaged like 4.5 carries or yards per carry, which is it's okay. But yeah, respectable. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm liking the Seahawks a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest with you. Sorry if that's a tough segue for you after that kind of like in-depth, or not really in-depth, but that just like kind of like a hard-hitting segment right there.
We got into
Systemic.
some like CRT in here, man. Riddle me this. Okay, well, Tyler, riddle me this. How are Hall of Fame quarterbacks like Gardner Minshew and Drew Lock sitting on benches if that is the case? Riddle me that.
Are you saying because they're white?
No, I'm kidding. I 100. Yes. And they're Hall of Fame level talent.
Maybe in like the
Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame Madden level talents.
Hall
of
Madden.
Fame. Have you seen that video where Drew Lock goes bar for bar?
Yeah,
that
they're
one
Hall of Fame
in
the quirked up white boy Hall of Fame. That's
with a little bit of swagger.
Yeah.
They bust it down.
I do wish more people knew that Geno had this in him, because man, when he was in college at West Virginia, he was such a beast.
He was.
He was in Heisman contention, man. Him and Tavon Austin. And Tavon Austin was the number 9 pick in his draft class, and Geno was high second. God, they were so fun. Geno was a beast. And
it just goes to show you that the second year of a young quarterback's year is like where they should show potential. Like, even if that doesn't happen, they can still come back like years later, as Geno's case, and come to be like a very efficient, good quarterback. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch, and maybe the future is brighter in Seattle than anyone could have ever thought.
Geno's also like 30? No, how old is Geno Smith?
He's probably 31, I'd imagine.
We can continue to the next.
Is he that old? He was drafted in 2013.
To the next game.
All right,
32. Just turned 32.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yesterday turned 32. Monday.
Man, quarterback years. That's like, that's like 3 or 4 more seasons. But so I don't have a transition. But Dolphins versus Jets. We thought we'd be seeing the first of Teddy, and then Teddy he died, and then we got to see Skylar Thompson. And just to put it in layman terms, Jets put up 40 points. So Skylar Thompson didn't really work out in his surprising start. But yeah, I didn't watch a lot of this game. But Tyler, did you get a chance to check into this game at all? The Dolphins and or the Jets?
No. But I will say, Tyreek Hill getting hurt. He went into this game hurt, and then I think he left the game with an injury. You're down a weapon. You have a backup or a third-string quarterback in that isn't going to be as good as Bailey Zappi, clearly. But the Dolphins' defense, to get 40 dropped on them by the Jets, didn't make sense to me, And then I saw, Zach Wilson only threw the ball 21 times. It was all Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Like, these playmakers that the Jets have, they're special. They're good, man. So, yeah, good for Breece Hall. He's gonna be a fantasy stud here in a couple of weeks. But, man, the Dolphins need Tua back soon.
Yeah, it's definitely needed. I also never would have thought that Zach Milfson would be 2-0. That's
Yeah,
also
hey,
pretty surprising.
they're doing the typical, throw the ball as little as you possibly can, and they'll win games. And hey, it worked.
Yeah, it's turning out to be pretty good if you
Yeah.
aren't the Bears. Decker, what are you thinking?
Yeah, from the Jets side, like Tyler hit on it. I love what they're doing with the mixture of Brees Hall, Michael Carter. This game, it was Brees Hall had two huge catch and runs to get him down to the goal line, and Michael Carter just did the dirty work and finished it off. So I like what they're kind of doing, just incorporating both of them in different ways. But yeah, Zach Wilson 2-0, impressive. The Jets defense is looking good. They're looking against the Steelers, look good against Miami. Granted, when they look against Pittsburgh is when Trubisky started, and then Pickett finished off with 3 picks, and then this one was Teddy going down, Skylar Thompson coming in. So I like to see when they get a game like this week against Rodgers to see if they could keep that up. But yeah, for the Dolphins side, if they had Tua and Tyreek and Teron Armstead all healthy, it's a different story. Like 3-2, I'm not like writing them off already because of that. They're just so banged up right now. Tua and Teddy both getting concussions. Tyreek with a foot injury. I don't know what Armstead's is, but offense is just banged up. Defensive wise, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard are both out, both injured. Their secondary is pretty depleted. Injuries are just derailing them right now. So the hope is that when they all get healthy, they can get back on track to what they were doing those first 3 weeks. So this is a prime game for the Vikings this upcoming week against Miami, especially with all them injured. But we'll touch on that in the next episode. So
Yeah, it's the Dolphins are going to be something to watch here. We really thought that they were going to be up there in the league, and they just might not be, sadly due to injuries. Moving on, we have the Bucks versus the Falcons, and now I'm just going to say what's on everyone's mind. We like these roughing the passer calls, right? I mean, they're kind of making the game better for the most part. I think keeping it more competitive.
No, I mean, it's
I'm joking,
clearly,
obviously.
but it's got to get touched on just quickly.
Well, no, I agree.
feel bad for the
But
Falcons.
that's why I
Take
brought
the
it up.
panties off, Susie. Come on, it's a man sport. I get it with Tom Brady to an extent. Yes, he's old. Yes, he's Tom Brady.
Old.
But come on, this is the reason why Jerome Boger's team or reffing unit wasn't allowed to ref the Super Bowl. They're horrible. And then of course we see it later on, Monday Night Football with the Chiefs against the Raiders. But yeah, I wouldn't say it lost them the game, to be honest with you, but it has that impact on the game that what could have happened.
Yeah.
So I still think that the Bucks would have won this game. Mariota looked horrible in this game, but that's gonna happen when you're going up against this Tampa Bay defense, and Kyle Pitts wasn't in, so that that's Kyle Pitts is huge to their offense, even though they're not using him. 90% of the plays he's a decoy, or he's another thing that the defense has to take into account, because if he gets loose, it's bad for the defense, very bad. So just not having that influence on the field on passing plays is really tough. So I kind of figured he would struggle during this game.
Yeah, looking at the Bucks defense was obviously going to be a mismatch. I think we all thought it would probably be a little less close than it turned out to be, but the Bucks still haven't figured out the offensive thing yet. Decker, your thoughts on this game?
I just feel bad for the Falcons, man, because, yes, they probably wouldn't have won it, but, man, they were down 21-0. They worked their butts off to get it back to 21-15, come up with a big defensive stop on Brady there, and then it's you get a call that just completely kills momentum and just kills the game. It's how are you supposed to sack quarterbacks now? I mean, it's just getting so ridiculous and upsetting to watch. And when I've heard people before say, I can't even watch football anymore because of these calls, and I understand why. It's when you see calls like that, it just gets you, just what makes you want to veer away for some people. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like, props to the Falcons for even getting back into it. You know, Patterson's out on IR. Pitts was out going into this game. Drake London got hurt in the game. But, you know, to be able to get 15 unanswered and actually make it close and then have that happen, it sucks to see. And yeah, Bucks need to start figuring it out on offense, or else it's looking bad for them, flat out.
No, we are literally one step closer to getting Randy Marsh's sarcastic ball in the NFL. Yeah, and I think that's going to be might happen. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, because people are saying just put flags on the QBs at this point, and I totally.
I mean, it's
get
like
that
every year there's some controversy with the refs. Like last year was taunting. The year before that was roughing the passer. Still, you know, it has been a problem. And the year before that was like pass interference. So, you know, it's like, and the year before that, what is a catch? You know, it's like there's always something that the refs like bring to the game, and you know, that's to me that's just football. You know, some games you get the calls, some games you don't, and the people that like kind of overreact to like, oh, the refs, we shouldn't even have refs or have like robot refs. You know what I mean? Like just it's just inevitable. Like it's always gonna happen. Unfortunately, you know, the Falcons were on the opposite end of where they would want to be, right? So it's not, to me, something that you have to overreact to, and it's just something I guess you have to not really accept, but it's part of the game, and it has been part of the game, right? And like it's just, yeah, not something to overreact to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, knowing Chiefs fans, I'm sure that they would also make a robot ref have to hold back tears anyways. So it's not really, we'd have the same issues. Plus, when the rules are so like now with that new 2 rule where it's like, self like a player appears to be like off balance or like, I don't know the exact words, but there's just so much like room for interpretation and rules, which of course is why you probably can't do robots. And that's why. No. Yeah. Robots not yet. Maybe in like 20 years. Who knows? But moving on, we have the Titans versus the versus the Commanders. Titans versus the Commanders. This was a game that I had no idea how it was going to go. I did pick Commanders to win, but I think that the more likely outcome being the Titans winning did happen.
Hey Sam, do you know who actually knew exactly how it was gonna end up? Me.
I'm guessing since you brought it up.
I predicted this game to be 21-17 Titans, and guess what it was? 21-17 Titans. So, you know, at least I got one right. Yeah. One right.
21-17?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Okay. But the one thing that I want to touch on this game didn't even happen during the game, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Ron Rivera throwing Carson Wentz under the bus is absolutely insane to me. Like, Carson Wentz was 25 for 38, you know, 360 yards, and then 2 touchdowns in the pick, and the pick came on the last play of the game. You know, he was the reason why they were even in scoring position. And Ron Rivera, this defensive head coach, is currently leading a bottom 10 defense that allows has allowed 128 points, and that is like tied for the 25th spot, which is, you know, bottom half. You know, they have a bottom 10 defense. So for him to put the blame on Carson Wentz, who played really well first 2 games, is just unbelievable to me. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, Carson Wentz, when he felt alienated in Philadelphia, did not play good. Now he's going to feel alienated in Washington. What do you think's going to happen, Ron? He's going to play bad.
He's just trying to prove his point by throwing one
like,
of the bus.
You have to have, like, some common sense and know that that is not what you say. Like, if I'm a head coach, I would, like, definitely not do that. Like, if push comes to shove, I would take the blame over blaming an individual person when it's not even their fault. Like,
yeah, it's factually incorrect. Like, you look at how the Colts did with Carson Wentz; they were never 1-4, and you look at the teams in your division that are winning games. They have Daniel Jones, and they're 4-1,
and 2 of them have phenomenal defenses. So, to me, it's just very hypocritical from Ron Rivera, and I lost a lot of respect from him after that comment. So, but he doesn't give a shit about my opinion about him. So,
well, maybe he'll listen to this and he'll
fuck you, Ron Rivera.
Ways.
Now, granted,
yeah,
I will say
Rivera.
Again, I will reiterate, Carson Wentz is not the guy. He hasn't played like the guy for a long time, but it's just not his fault. It's not his fault that they're the bottom of this division, and it's just ridiculous for him to come out and say that.
Yeah, and I agree. Decker, anything to add about this game, or would you like to bash Ron Rivera as well?
No, I don't have a lot to say. Just Titans, 3-game win streak. Derrick Henry looking like Derrick Henry during these 3 games. Commanders, complete mess. Coaching change will happen end of the year.
I agree.
Yep. I agree.
Undeniable.
Yeah. Moving on, we have, well, speaking of coaching changes, we have the Niners versus the Panthers. This game doesn't need any analysis. Niners good, Panthers bad. Matt Rule's been fired.
Good.
Finally.
Deckard,
and
virtual handshake / high-five on both calling that to happen. But I think it was pretty well known that this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back on the Matt Rule experiment.
Yeah.
And realistically, like, cause I didn't say for sure, but like, cause I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't sure if the front office would have the cojones to part ways, especially.
But you knew it was
going to
happen. Why didn't you say it?
I thought it could happen.
Like,
certainly,
it sounds like you're the one without the cojones, my friend.
The biggest know how to cut me to my core.
From the.
You know how to cut me to my core. I have.
But I will say.
Average cojones.
I'm gonna just touch on this real quick. Panthers, they got to start a full rebuild, and people are talking about, they got to trade DJ Moore or they got to trade Brian Burns. No, those are the kind of players you keep during rebuilds. You keep your good young players. They're gonna trade people like Robbie Anderson and like Jack, their cornerback Jackson. What's his first name? Dante Jackson. It's like those are the people you trade, not your cornerstones of the offense and defense. Like, I don't get that. Shaq Thompson, maybe, he's getting up there. He's, kind of fallen off a little bit, but, he's still good. But I wanted to wait to say this for this game. I want the Packers to trade for DJ Moore so bad. Like, oh my God. We need wide receiver help. If at the very least a day 3 pick for Robbie Anderson would make me happy, we just need some help somewhere, somehow. So this is the time to do it.
Yeah, that was going to be my prompt for this game. I was going to ask you guys because the players that have been the most in trade talks have been CMC and DJ Moore. And so I was going to ask you guys, Where do you think is their most likely destination? And I guess, Tyler, you said DJ Moore for the Packers. Would you say that's the most likely or just your
It's my
dream
dream
scenario?
scenario, but most likely he stays in Carolina. To be honest with you, um, I like I said, those are the kind. He's the kind of player you don't move on from. But for CMC, man, I have no clue. It's like Chiefs have the capital to trade. I'm not sure they have the budget for him. Um,
No.
Gosh, I genuinely don't know. I it's
Yeah.
like it's got to be a contending team, and
Yeah.
you know, a few contending teams have had very like hard times running the ball recently. So we'll have to see. You know, Bills. Of course, we talked about it earlier. They're like the one that comes to mind, just because like their run offense is so bad, and that would just make their offense that much better. But yeah, I genuinely couldn't tell you. I think he goes to the AFC though.
Yeah, I'd probably say
Yeah, I'm
that.
sure that they take him out of division. Sorry, Dick, you can go first.
No, I was gonna say that too, but like, also one quick point to go back to Rule is like red flag number one of this entire experiment should have been you gave 7 years, $62 million to a college coach. You should never ever do that. Nobody should do that. And they fired Rule. They fired the defense coordinator Phil Snow, who was also like a Rule disciple and followed him everywhere he went in college as well, and then into the NFL. He goes. Ben McAdoo should have gone. Like, just he has no right.
Wait, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. He should. He has no
Jesus.
right. No right. He has no right to be a coordinator of any sort.
Oh my God.
And then just like touch on the trade too. Like I think CMC would probably go to an AFC team as well. But we talk about the Panthers having their cornerstone players in the rebuild like DJ Moore and J.C. Horn, Brian Burns, such. It would not shock me at all with this Panthers organization, which is not a well-run organization, a well-run team. No trade. Anybody that they would trade would not surprise me. Because the Panthers will probably panther it and trade a Brian Burns or a J.C. Horn, Derek Brown. It just wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, I definitely think that if anyone goes, they'll definitely try CMC first, just to get rid of that contract, to get rid of that lingering issue injury, which might not be around anymore, but it's definitely in the back of their minds. I don't know where he would go, but I would say Bills or Chiefs would be most likely.
Maybe maybe the Ravens too. I don't know.
Ravens are certainly God, that would be something if the Ravens got him. Really, any team if that isn't the Panthers, they could CMC. It would be really something. So that would be interesting to watch. But moving on, we have the Eagles versus the Cardinals. Surprise, surprise, Eagles won. It was definitely a lot closer than anybody thought it was going to be. It ended on a missed field goal by the Cardinals to give the Eagles that win. Tyler, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on this game?
I'm just gonna be really quick because we're already over an hour. But this was my funny
wow.
pick of the week for the Cardinals to win, and it came one kick short to potentially happening. But we've been seeing the Eagles kind of struggle past 2 weeks, kind of opening themselves up. I don't think they go undefeated for much longer, to be honest with you. I think they'll slip up here. But Cardinals, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know a lot about this game, to be honest with you. I think that,
Not.
yeah,
I don't.
I
either.
just, I don't know, man. One second, I gotta look up. Yeah. Kyler Murray, he's got to play better. That's just what it comes down to for me, at least.
Yeah. No, there's a fun fact I learned, and this is more directed towards Decker. Decker, did you know that we play the Cardinals 2 days after the new Call of Duty game comes out?
Oh.
Ooh, Kyler's gonna throw like 4 picks.
Kyler won't be doing.
I'm so
He won't.
excited.
He won't be at practice. He won't be practicing.
No.
He'll be.
Yeah, he won't even show up to the game.
He'll
He'll miss the. Nah, because he'll miss the bus or the plane to get there.
Yeah, team officials are gonna have to drag him out of his home.
That'll be something to watch. Is there anything to add to this current Cardinals matchup?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I just think, like Tyler said, Eagles are bound for a loss here because, like, I look at their 5 wins here, and they find new ways to win every week. So week 1 was the shootout win against Detroit, obviously. Week 2, defensive shutdown of the Vikings. Week 3 was just a mixture of offensive firepower and then shutdown on defense. And then week 4 was the comeback against Jacksonville, 28 unanswered, I think it was, or whatever. And then this week was like a gritty win where, they probably shouldn't have won, but they pulled it out. And I think even this week against Dallas would be the week that they lose, and I wouldn't be shocked. Just seems like a loss is incoming for them. I'm with Tyler. They won't be undefeated for much longer.
Yeah, I definitely think that if there is a game that they might lose, it is definitely next week because they'll be playing the Cowboys, who just came off another Cooper Rush win against the defending world champions, the Rams. I don't think I watched any of this game. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I can touch on it real quick. Boy, oh boy. This Rams offense looks rough, man.
Sucks.
Really rough. And I just...
Yeah.
I'll talk about the game real quick and then just one other narrative. A little bit longer. But, Cooper Kupp is him. It's very clear. Cooper Kupp is him. There's no stopping that man. Matthew Stafford, get this guy in a retirement home already. And then Tony Pollard over Zeke is very clear at this point. Start giving Tony Pollard all the rushes. Get Zeke in a retirement home already. But besides that, not a whole lot to talk about, to be honest with you. Cooper Kupp, good. Tyler Higbee, he's been good. Yeah, so...
Everything else sucks.
I've been seeing this narrative where they're like, do they let Cooper Kupp continue playing when Dak comes back healthy? No! No! Why would you... No!
You said Cooper
Oh,
Kupp.
you're just saying that because they're paying him. No! No, I am not. Like, the Cowboys with Dak Prescott have been a top 10, if not top 5, scoring offense every year that he has played. The years that he hasn't played, they are below 20. So the fact that people are even considering this is absolutely mind-boggling. And they're like, "Oh, you're just following the money." Yeah, Dak is that good, bro. He makes this offense so much better. And while yes, Cooper Rush is a very competent backup who has gotten 4 wins in a row, this defense has a very big say in those 4 wins, and Cooper Rush just being a game manager just has really won them those games. So, hey, for those people saying Cooper Rush over Dak Prescott when he gets back, you don't know a ball, okay? That's it.
Yeah, 2 things. When you were talking about Cooper Rush, I think you said Cooper Kupp more than once.
Cooper Kupp good.
and-
Cooper Rush not good. Well, not better than Dak.
Yeah. Plus, I think you're a little close to your mic because my headphones.
Yeah.
are so
No,
loud.
I moved my mic closer for this conversation because it just one of our roommate was like, "Why would you put Dak back in?" Like, you're just saying, like, he's the reason why I wanted to go off on this tangent, and it's just annoying. Casuals say that shit. So
Yeah, Hayden, if you can hear us,
yeah,
stop on the
Casual.
floor so he gets the emphasis.
you don't know ball.
Okay, moving on. We have the
Sorry
Bengals
for
versus
the
Ravens.
the deafening tones. By the way, I do apologize.
One more point about this too. I agree with Tyler. Dak should start, but wait till he's like healthy.
Yes.
Don't rush him into this game against Philly. Don't do it. Let Cooper Rush get this game, and I think I don't know if they got bye after that or not, but wait till Dak's healthy and ready to be out there. Until then, ride Rush.
Are you bastards done cutting me off? Thank you.
Go ahead.
Bengals versus Ravens. Crap, what was the score of this one? Didn't the Ravens
Yeah,
win?
1917, yeah.
19.
4 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I forgot what I was going to
sorry.
say.
Lamar's
no,
him,
no,
man.
it's okay.
He rallied in that fourth to get them in scoring position. He led a game-winning drive. There's not much more you can say. Like, yes, he had a fairly ugly game, threw a pick, but it's just gonna happen with these AFC North matchups. So, props to Lamar, man. I mean, I just think, like I said earlier, he gets way too much hate.
Yeah. Decker?
Yeah. No, Bengals offense really stale those first couple drives of this game. Ravens defense looked good, but man, Ravens are starting to get plagued by injuries again. Marcus Williams, might return late in the season, but broken wrist for him. Michael Pierce was already on IR, out for the year. Ronnie Stanley's not fully there still. I don't know, man.
JPP looks good. That's a bright side.
Yeah, JPP.
He did. He looked very good.
So, but I hope the Ravens can stay healthy because
I
they
would
do.
agree. Injuries are a little bit concerning for this
good.
defense, but I mean, it did not stop them stopping this Bengals run attack, which has not been good this whole year. So they need to pick that up ASAP.
I don't think Mixon's had a run longer than 20 yards.
No. If that.
I haven't seen one. Yeah. And now to our final game, which is the Raiders versus the Chiefs. We'll keep this very brief because we're approaching the end. Chiefs were Chiefs. Raiders were Raiders at the end when they ran into each other, Renfro and Adams. So I'm going to ask you boys one question. I want you to only answer this question. How much money is that cameraman getting, and why is it above six figures?
Wow.
He sold it, man. He was...
I mean, I get being emotional after a tough loss like that, but you gotta know right from wrong. like, geez, come on. Now, I will say that would not happen if he was in green and gold, man. It just would not. So, Las
That's
Vegas,
not part of the question.
Las Vegas
Decker,
is changing him.
answer?
Las Vegas is changing him. That's all I'm gonna say.
That wasn't part of the question, Mr. Noctical. Mr. Decker, continue. That wasn't part of the question. You're currently overstepping.
Just to touch on the game.
But,
just to touch on the game real quick. I will say something. The connection between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, it's got to be telepathic, right? They've got to be talking to each other through wavelengths or Bluetooth or something, because
you've never seen that long umbilical cord that just is attaching the two of them.
4 touchdowns is just so insane for a tight end. Man, Kelsey's good. And then on the other side of the ball, Josh Jacobs, he's really having a really good season so far. Started off a little slow, but has really come on. So, it's not easy to run behind that Las Vegas O-line, but he seems to be doing it, and seems to be doing it really, really well. So props to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Decker, anything to add?
Yeah, you just knew when it was 17-0 Raiders. You're like, man, Chiefs. You just knew Chiefs were going to come back.
Yeah, just
in
like
this game and win it.
the divisional game against the Texans a couple years back.
Yep.
You just knew.
But yeah, man, Kelsey is. They just got such a good connection. I mean, just what a weird stat line. Just 7 for 25 and 4 touchdowns. Absolute red zone monster. It was fun to watch.
Won a lot of people fantasy matchups.
Won almost everyone their fantasy.
Oh,
matchups.
Decker, how
Not
did you
me,
do?
But
oh, that's right.
Not me, but it
You
did win.
lost.
It did win. So oddly enough, it didn't win me my matchup, but it did win Sam and our roommates league.
Did it?
Where Sam
Yeah.
had Carlson and Kelsey, and they went for 49, 50.
Yeah, no, Carlson had 16 points, I think, and
Kelsey had
had 33.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Deck with the rough sledding in his fantasy matchup and rough sledding in the locks this week. So, Decker, I know we're currently overstepping the grounds of this episode being just reactions, but please tell me you're locking just one team. the next week.
Yeah.
You're locking one team.
I'll lock one team. That'll probably go against me, but I'll lock one team.
We should mention that our next episode, Sam will not be on it, I believe.
No, I will not. I have a wedding in Arizona. What's so funny? What's so funny?
Just take the set.
Because
take
I
the
am
setup with
literally
you.
because I am literally going for a nice
Okay,
wedding.
so Sam's gonna be he's gonna be at a wedding in Arizona. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy. We might have a guest podcaster with us. It might just be me and Decker, but stay tuned. We'll see how it goes without a host. I think it'll go just as smooth, if not better. So look forward to that episode. For all those who cannot stand Sam's voice, we've got an episode coming just for you.
Well, good thing that they will get plenty of my voice as I do the outro. Thank you all for listening to our podcast today. We did go longer than normal, but I hope that was only pleasurable for everyone listening.
We only hope this
you can check
episode
us out
brought
on
only pleasure to your ears.
Yes.
Only
exactly. Only exclusively. But yeah, you can check us out on Instagram or on TikTok. Name is Moderately Athletic Podcast. Yeah, thank you for listening and have a good night, everyone.